Welcome to the Imperfect Podcast. I'm Joe Kane.
I'm Dan Kane.
And I'm Wayne Heckler.
And today we're talking about the actors who played Batman.
Now, when I think of Batman, the first Batman that comes to my mind is Adam West, because that's the first Batman that I knew growing up. It was in reruns back then. But the one thing about Adam West, it was campy, but not at the time. At the time it came out, even though now we look back on it, sometimes we laugh like, oh, gee, Willikers, Batman, as Robin says. Yeah. But back then, it was something. I remember just waiting. I couldn't wait to see Batman coming back from school. It was on reruns, especially the movie episode was in two parts when they had all the villains at the same time. You had the Riddler, the Joker, the Penguin, and even Catwoman. Yeah. I was so excited. I'm like, they're all in it, Mom. We have to go. Please, we're running late.
Yeah. It was super exciting to see them all in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember Mr. Freeze was in it sometimes too.
Yeah, it was Mr. Freeze. And, I just remember Vincent Price's Egghead.
Right, Vincent Price. Yes.
And he had he fit more puns into his lines than anything else. That was fantastic,
that was his thing, right? Catwoman was great. Everything was perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Was that Eartha Kitt?
Yeah, there's two of them. Eartha Kitt. Who was the other one?
Lee Merriweather.
Yeah,
that's the one that stands out to me. Probably because the movie they made, she was the
Catwoman. Yeah.
But I just remember him running with the bomb down the deck by the water, and there's a boat. And he can't throw it, and then there's a kid, and he can't throw it, and there's two ducks. When the ducks can't throw it. And then Robin's looking like, oh my God, what happened? And he just kind of creeps up behind them.
Poor Burt Ward. They had him in basically tidy greenies.
Yeah.
And leggings.
Yeah. Pointy shoes.
Pointy shoes. He was like an elf.
I love how they would always walk up the buildings, with the ropes.
Yep.
There was a lot of cool things with that, and Adam West is, if you see Adam West today, you go, okay, he's Batman. It was such a campy thing, but he definitely was. He inherited that role and became Batman. Yeah. And us growing up as kids, we saw this and looked at it and was like, oh my God, that's Batman.
That's Batman. Yeah.
Do you know that Adam West actually has a tattoo on one of his molars? In the back of his teeth, and it's the bat symbol tattooed onto his teeth.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's funny that some people really become the character. It's part of their life. They go away knowing that he was Batman.
Yeah.
And back at the time, during the fights, you had like the pow, some of those captions they had. Right. It was very interesting. And it had that 60s vibe to it. Even though there's a party scene with the Catwoman once and that whole, dancing.
That campy, that was that whole campy era. You were talking about a time when what was that show? There was a show with Goldie Hawn. And laughing, and they were popping out. It had that same campy sort of vibe to it.
Right.
The bright
the
colors.
Surf and dance, the bright colors, the flashes of lights.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So we're talking about it was very appropriate for the era. The camp in it was what was supposed to be there, because that's just what everything else is. As we go later on into Batman lore and Batman following the different actors who played Batman, it gets darker. It gets darker and darker. But that's the way that the movies that we're watching nowadays are. We don't expect to go to see the movie and see thwap put across the screen.
Right. And you're right, because back then Batman was more. It was almost like was Superman almost, and the American way, because he was such a good-hearted Batman. He wasn't like the vigilante that Batman is later that you find out. Because growing up, I never thought that. I'm like, oh, they don't like Batman, because he was such a good-hearted person.
It wasn't a vigilante.
At that time.
He was working with the police. Commissioner Gordon had him on a beeper. Or not a beeper, that red phone.
Right, the red phone. The spotlight as well.
And he was always seen as a hero. You had the press conferences.
Yeah.
With him, the people just lingered on every word he said. So.
Could you imagine Batman today getting up and doing a press conference?
No.
I
threw him off the roof.
And then after the television series Batman, what's the next movie Batman?
It was 89. Batman with Michael Keaton. And that was the start of it getting darker. And, that had to do with Tim Burton. and
Well,
was
Tim Burton took the character in a whole new direction
Yeah.
Than what we had ever seen before, and he kind of solidified a whole the comic book movie as being something that could be driven towards adults, could be driven that it's not a kid's campy thing, that this is what it could be,
Yeah.
and it kind of drove every. There are so many comic book movies out there now. And that is just something that we look at and we kind of take for granted. But Burton, it was like he kind of pioneered it in that Batman movie with Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Now, getting into Michael Keaton, he was. What were the thoughts on him?
Yeah, at the time, right, where Michael Keaton was looked at as more of a goofier character,
comedic
like a
actor.
comedic actor, right? Not goof, but
I guess
comedic
I guess
actor.
he had just come off of Beetlejuice.
Right, so they weren't sure if he could handle right this. At least the audience was a little hesitant.
Yeah, they thought it was going to be more campy.
And then, it was a surprise, especially under the direction of Tim Burton. But the one scene that sticks out to me is that one scene, I think it's during the parade, and everyone's getting shot, there's machine gun fire, and this is when Batman recognizes the Joker, and he just walks up to him. It's not slow motion, but it feels like it's slow motion.
Well, just to
you.
clarify, he's not in the bat suit.
Right,
He's playing Bruce Wayne.
Thank you. He's Bruce Wayne at the time.
Right.
And he just catches, the Joker, and he recognizes that this is the person who killed his parents. And just the way the scene is set up, there's gunshots, everyone's ducking down, running, and he's just walking with that serious look, like a dazed look. But he was so focused, like, this is them.
Yeah.
And I think that right then you knew that he was Batman. So it was just that captured the moment, like, wow, he's serious. This is it. This is how he became Batman, actually.
Yeah.
So in a way, that is the quintessential.
Well, it's funny
time.
because he walked through the crowd and he actually got shot through the jacket. It didn't even hit him. He actually the bullet grazed
And he
through
didn't
his jacket.
hesitate,
And
right? He just kept walking, right?
Because he gives Alfred the jacket later, and Alfred sticks his finger through, like, did you have a rough day? Like.
Yeah, but that was I loved just the bat suit and the way that he looked in the bat suit. He was perfect for it, and I think that the darker is a way to go when you look at his past. How would you expect a guy to be all happy?
He's not supposed to be a. I guess they never did an origin story for Adam West's Batman. He kind of was Batman. That was it.
Yeah.
So people didn't know comic books, right? This was the first time you saw how Batman actually became Batman.
Exactly. And again, Adam West did his job in the 60s with that Batman, and then looking at 89 when Michael Keaton took over the mantle.
Yeah.
He was definitely, he did his part. He was in there, and it was a very serious role. He hadn't really been seen in any serious roles before then.
Right.
He took over this mantle as like real dark and real, like, sinister.
Yeah, and I think it got even darker with Batman Returns.
Yeah. Well, getting into Batman Returns, you got Christian Bale took over, I guess, at that point.
Batman Returns.
Oh, Batman Returns.
Michael Keaton.
I'll be okay.
So, yeah, maybe.
Yes, my chronology. I'll get to Christian Bale later.
But one thing against Michael Keaton was, his nemesis was the Joker, and that was Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson.
And they seem to complement each other very well.
Well, look at the Penguin in Returns.
Yeah.
Danny DeVito was like, something of nightmares.
Yeah.
In that movie, he's stealing babies and he's eating fish, and I just remember him biting the nose off of one guy just because he like said something to him.
What did he say to him? I forget what he said.
Whatever it is, it was horrible images. No, horrific images. I shouldn't say horrible. They were great images.
Yeah.
That poses the question: is the Batman as good as the Batman is only as good as his villains that he's opposing?
Yeah.
Because the more severe and the more evil that the villain is that we're looking at is someone, that's making the Batman look even more of a hero.
They definitely complement each other.
It's what's driving him at that time.
It's what's driving him at the time. And if the drive isn't there, if the villain isn't the person motivating him, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you think that after Michael Keaton's Batman was a darker Batman than, of course, Adam West, but you would think it would continue to go in that direction,
Right.
but yet it doesn't.
Nay.
As the next Batman comes, it's a whole different story. And it was Val Kilmer, at that point.
Yep,
And
Val Kilmer. It was Joel Schumacher took over.
Yeah, and put nipples on the bat suit.
Put nipples on the bat suit.
Just horrible.
And and Val Kilmer I thought he looked, his look was all right in the bat suit, but I didn't buy him as Bruce Wayne.
And he's a very good actor. I loved him
Yeah.
as Jim Morrison in the Doors movie, Thunderheart, another time. So he's a very good actor, but in this case, it just didn't fit what was,
Right.
I get the script. It just was too lighthearted.
He seemed like too normal of a guy to be Bruce Wayne.
They reinventing it. They tried to, I guess, go for more of a children's based.
Yeah, more family type of Batman, I guess. Maybe the other one scared them a little bit. We wanted to capture a larger audience, but I think they realized later that might not have been the right move.
Yeah. Well, then moving on, immediately after that was Batman and Robin. And you had more nipples on bat suits.
Yes.
And Robin suits.
Yep.
But not on the Catwoman?
Not on Batgirl.
Not Batgirl, right.
It wasn't on Batgirl.
Not,
I don't know if it was on Batgirl or not. We should look that up. The looking at that, they got really into this campy mode. Arnold Schwarzenegger being Mr. Freeze.
Oh. All right, everyone. Chill.
And that was Arnold Schwarzenegger's thing. He always had those lines, I'll be back, those lines.
Yeah.
That was also something out of Nightmares.
Yes.
Different reason. But George Clooney, I thought was better fit for the role than Kilmer. I think he had the look of Bruce Wayne, certainly, and also Batman. I just think that the movie itself was even worse than the previous one.
Jim Carrey is the Riddler. I thought he definitely was a good Riddler. I think if we took his character and put him with maybe Michael Keaton's movie, and it might have took a little different twist. Because I think he played the role well. I just think the overall movie, maybe it showed something else. It wasn't.
And then as soon as, Two-Face, played by Tommy Lee Jones, as soon as he got around Riddler, he became goofy like the Riddler. And that wasn't
It was
supposed
too
to be.
much. It was over the top.
Yeah.
Right.
So that...
You know what? It was they tried to make all of the characters derivatives of Joker.
Yeah.
It was I believe it was supposed to be the same world between what Tim Burton had started and Joel Schumacher had done to finish out. By the way, I'm looking at the a picture of Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl, and they did put nipples on her, but they're just not as prevalent.
Gotcha.
So not as pronounced.
Not as pronounced.
Well, and then eventually, I guess they realized that was the mistake, and they went darker.
Yeah.
And that was when Christian Bale
putting nipples on it. Apparently,
No, but that it was supposed to be one series, but it was totally different. I mean, you had the same. There was only two guys that were the same role throughout the four, which was Alfred and Commissioner Gordon. They played all four movies, so.
but they were the only ones.
Yeah.
So completely reinventing it and then trying to keep it in the same cinematic world was kind of a bad decision.
And the next series was Chris Nolan directed the next series. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
The next three started with Batman Begins, and that was a good origin story.
That was a great origin story. Until that moment, like I really felt, we knew about the way the Bats and his family died already, but to actually see how he became the Batman, why is he such a good fighter?
Right.
All that came out with this one.
Well, there was a lot more background on how he actually physically became Batman.
More of a ninja style.
Yeah.
Became. That's very important.
That was going with Ra's al Ghul up into the Himalayan mountains or whatever mountains those were to go learn fighting styles and whatever else. It was a really good background story.
Yes.
And it set a whole new mood because now we were coming off of Batman Forever and Batman and Robin that were just tried to get back into campy and didn't do it right. You know what I mean? Like looking back at Adam West, it was campy and it was okay because
it fit the time.
It fit the time. You knew it was campy. You were watching it because it was campy. This was coming off of, they just did two really dark movies that were really, adult focused movies that weren't really for kids, and they said, well, let's try to make it a family movie.
Yeah.
and
I
let's
think
make it
the
goofy.
audience was ready for something darker,
Right.
and
So-
the studios called it wrong
Yeah.
in this case.
Well, they called it right by enlisting Chris Nolan to direct the next ones, the next several, looking at them, the tone was completely reset, and it was probably I'm gonna go as far as saying that was probably the darkest Batman we've seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there were a lot more inner turmoil
Yes.
going on.
Yeah, and then I thought that that was great, and then The Dark Knight was even topped it. And you had the performance by Heath Ledger in that one that really stole the show.
And you think it took a long time before, like, what was the first superhero movie that we all knew was Superman? It's a long time in between Superman and a Batman movie,
Yeah,
right? And Superman it was kind of a mix. It was a little campy, but not in the joking way. I mean, there were some serious
It was
moments.
serious, but it was definitely more lighthearted. It wasn't dark.
Right.
At all.
I mean, there was a couple killings, like in a subway scene. The wall came out and pushed somebody and into the tracks. Lois Lane dies, but he brings her back.
Right.
But still family based.
Right.
And then this Batman eventually was, really captured the darkness that Batman is. Because Superman's not supposed to be dark.
Right.
In reality, it was the American way,
Yeah.
But not Batman. And the other thing is, the first Batman, you looked at Batman more of a hero. He wasn't the villain. He wasn't he wasn't the vigilante.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just looked at like he worked directly with the police. He was saying like he had the bat phone and
Right. Yeah. And this he was seen totally as an outlaw,
Yeah.
almost. And then
But bringing it into reality, that's what he would be. You wouldn't have somebody dressed as a bat going through the city, and the cops be like, "Oh yeah, hey, you take care of this guy." Like,
Right.
yeah.
like, "Oh, Commissioner, can you get him on the phone?"
Yeah.
because then there was almost no need for the outfit if you think about it in that case, right?
Yeah.
Supposed to be bad.
Officer Murphy, what happened? The bat took care of it.
Yeah,
All right.
everything's good.
It's good. The bat's
Everything's good in Gotham, right? Meanwhile, back at
Oh, you went Super Friends.
right.
Back at the Justice League.
crossover, right?
Back at the Hall of Justice or whatever it was called.
And after Christian Bale is our newest Batman.
Yeah, Ben Affleck. You know what? There was a lot of pulling against him. I think with the concept that when Michael Keaton took over the mantle, Michael Keaton was very. It was a shock because it was a comedian coming into this role. And I think that was something that the audiences were taken back by. Mm-hmm. I feel like there was a lot of the same thing because of Daredevil, honestly. Ben Affleck had done Daredevil, and not necessarily to his own fault. It was, they dressed up Daredevil in tight leather pants that he couldn't move in, and said, let's make a movie. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was not one of the better superhero movies that's out there, and I'll say that. But now Ben Affleck has taken over this role,
Right.
And I'm gonna say this right out. Ben Affleck has he really stepped up to the plate. I'm looking at what he's done with the character, and he's kept it in that dark vein. You want to talk about going dark? Batman kills people throughout the movie. Like it's going out of style. I mean, he used the one guy was shooting at him. He took the other guy and used him as a body bag to get shot, so he wouldn't get hit.
And it's funny when we're talking about Batman, whereas there's really two characters. There's Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Sometimes a great actor might play a great Bruce Wayne, but maybe not as believable as a Batman, and vice versa.
That's a good way to look at it and go, okay, well, it is two separate people. That this actor has to play two separate people.
Right.
I don't necessarily think Ben Affleck knocked it out of the park as Batman, but I think he did a really good job as Bruce Wayne.
I agree. I thoroughly enjoyed him as Bruce Wayne.
I think he did a great Bruce Wayne, and what I think is that sometimes you think of the acting. I think most of the acting that he was doing was as Bruce Wayne.
Sure.
As Batman, it was more the action parts. He's fighting most of the time. There's not even that much talking, really, as Batman. So it might be easier to say he didn't play a great Batman, but that could even been a stuntman, for all we know, most of the time. There wasn't that much language.
He wasn't actually on set as Batman.
Right.
He's never put on an outfit.
But I think he definitely played a great Bruce Wayne.
I enjoyed him as Bruce.
Batman, to me, did all right. I have to give him a credit for both parts in that case.
Yeah.
There's somebody that's very prevalent in the Batman, has played Batman for many years that we didn't even touch upon, and we kind of skipped as far as chronologically, is Kevin Conroy. He was the voice of the animated series.
Right.
He also did all of the Arkham video games. He's kind of, to me, sounding wise, he's quintessentially what I think Batman should sound like.
Right.
We had Christian Bale, but that's not to me what Batman should sound like. He should have opened his mouth. They should have had Kevin Conroy voice over Christian Bale's.
And in all fairness, they did that in post most of the time. It wasn't really just his voice.
It wasn't his voice. I did read an article that said, they had he had done a little bit of rasp in his voice when he was Batman, and that was just part of his character trait, and it wasn't as bad. And if you look in Batman Begins, it wasn't that prevalent.
Right. It wasn't that bad, and I enjoyed him more in Batman Begins, I think, because of it.
Yeah, but by the time the later series went on, they started adding effects into it to actually make it more raspy and make it more of that growl.
And they did that with Bane as well.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, me and Joe over here, we were on set for Dark Knight Rises, so we actually heard the real Bane, and then the voiceover after. We were in that explosion scene at the stadium in Pittsburgh.
It was Heinz Stadium in Pittsburgh. We got a chance to be on set for that. And really cool experience just to see how they shuffled around. There were 1,500 extras, another 50 or so principals, and then a couple hundred crew members.
And it was such a hot day, and we had to act like it was the winter because it's a football game. So we're wearing winter coats, and and then in between takes we could barely breathe, and it's like action, and we're jumping around as if it's cold. And I remember I flipped over the banister. Joe jumped over people in the crowd, and we were upset because we're edited out of the movie, and we realized that you can't be that prevalent, you can't be that obvious when you're an extra, because obviously the audience should be, what happened to those guys? What's going on? One of the soldiers came with the machine gun pushing me into the banister away, but we just realized, it was a good experience overall.
It was a great experience, and we got to see them blow up Heinz Stadium, which was just awesome.
And that was probably less than a minute, and probably took about 13 hours to film.
It was about 13 hours we were there. Yeah, we drove 8 hours to Pittsburgh, and we were on set for 13 hours, and then we drove 8 hours home. We were exhausted.
They entertained us. They took out some of the Batmobiles, the military ones, the tank type ones, to drive
shooting
around.
off cannons from them and everything. So,
but it was so nice how they blew up the stadium. How they kind of built a platform above, so it made it look like it collapsed. It was very interesting to see that.
Yeah, that's another progression, is the Batmobiles over the years.
Oh yeah,
you had the one from the series that was like the convertible and.
Oh, the first one, the Adam West one.
And then it ended up all the way at Dark Knight with basically driving a tank down the street.
The
Tumbler.
Right.
So I gotta ask you, what's your favorite Batmobile?
What's my favorite Batmobile?
Yeah.
I really, I know it's kind of sacrilegious. I really like the new one from the new movie.
The Batman vs. Superman?
The Batman vs. Superman one. It's kind of, to me, the best of both worlds. It looks like the Tumbler kind of more morphed into what I think of as a traditional Batmobile.
Right.
I love the motorcycle when I first saw that, because the wheels go one way and then it shifted the other way. The first time I saw that, I flipped out. I was so excited by that.
Batcycle.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Now, my favorite Batmobile is the '89 Batman with Keaton.
Yeah.
Just the first time you see it when he runs out of the museum with Vicky Vale.
Well, that was the first time it didn't really look like a car.
Yeah.
It didn't look like, in the 60s series, it was like, some car with like, some pinstriping on it.
Right. And it went into windshields. Round windshields.
Right. And of course, part of that is based on their budget at the time. And
it was a TV series.
Which I love that one too. I love that Batmobile and the Tumbler, but my favorite is the Tim Burton Batmobile. That's just always been my favorite. I still want one.
You want one?
I want to buy
Like a
one.
real one, or
Yeah,
like I can get you like a Matchbox
No, I
one
want
if you
one
really
that I
like.
can drive.
I think the original Batmobile was used in the movie Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg.
Mock?
Mark Wahlberg. No, but yeah, they raced it
Yeah.
in the movie. It was kind of cool. There's a scene with that.
Yeah.
Well, you know, thinking about this, going, okay, well, what these Batman have played two roles. Okay, basically, you have your Batman, you have your Bruce Wayne. Let me ask you guys, what's your favorite Batman, and what's your favorite Bruce Wayne? It doesn't necessarily have to be the same actor.
I gotta go. My favorite Batman is still Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Just the way he looked in the suit, he just looked mean. That's my favorite Batman. But my favorite Bruce Wayne is Christian Bale. I enjoy him as Bruce Wayne the best out of anybody.
I'm going to agree with you. Christian Bale's Batman, I mean, as Bruce Wayne, actually, I felt more because he was so frustrated. He was angry most of the time.
Yeah.
And it would show like that's what he is. Sometimes Bruce Wayne is looked at too much as the billionaire, so he's all proper. But you're thinking really behind the scenes in that Batcave, he's
Right.
going to be pissed off most of the time.
Yeah.
So I like that anger in him. And it was just that search for something I was always trying to find.
Right.
And Michael Keaton's Batman, I really enjoy as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to go along with you on that one. What about
So
you, Joe?
you're the same. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say my favorite Batman is definitely Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy, to me, is the quintessential Batman, and I would love to see them do a, obviously Kevin Conroy's a little older right now, so, putting him in the bat suit probably wouldn't be the best idea to actually do a live action with him. But his voice resonates for me. When you see those video games, when you see that animated series, his voice resonates for me as the quintessential Batman. Now, I would love to see them do Batman Beyond and use him as the older Bruce Wayne.
Now,
with that voice.
He worked with Mark Hamill, is that correct?
He worked with Mark Hamill as the Joker, and that's another quintessential voice I would love to see as the Joker. I don't think he's got the body type or that to be pulling off the Joker per se.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing him now from the recent Star Wars with the big beard. I mean, that really wouldn't work under clown makeup.
Yeah.
Now, since you brought up that combination, what would you say is your favorite Batman Joker combination?
Joker combination? Oh man. You know what? I think hands down the Heath Ledger probably did the best interpretation for me as to what Joker should be. I didn't give you my Bruce Wayne, by the way.
Oh,
My Bruce Wayne is completely different. We said we can pick two different characters. My Bruce Wayne, I really am a big fan of what Affleck did as Bruce Wayne in the new movie.
Favorite Bruce Wayne.
Favorite Bruce Wayne. I swear to you. Again, him as they addressed the thing with the voice actually in the movie, which I thought was great for Batman when he was Batman. But I felt most passionate about about him as Bruce Wayne because he was gritty. It was supposed to be an older Batman. It was supposed to be somebody who's been through hell and back.
Yeah.
We see in the movie he lost Robin. He had all these things in this strife, and I really feel like he pulled off what Bruce Wayne would be at that point in his life.
Okay.
So, if we can make an amalgam of like him as Bruce Wayne and Kevin Conroy as Batman, for me, that would be good.
That'll be a dream come true right there.
Yeah. You started to say something about the Joker, I think you were saying?
Okay, yeah, just a combination. I mean, I like Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. I think they make a great combination there.
They worked well together, yes.
Yes.
I got to agree. Combination. I like Keaton and Nicholson with their chemistry on film. But if I'm just going for my favorite Joker, I have to go with Heath Ledger. And Jack second. Love him too. But my favorite Joker is definitely Heath. Favorite combination, Keaton Nicholson.
Right. Are we sticking with the combination of the fact that it's in the guys who actually played off of each other?
Yes, that's right.
Assuming.
Yes. But you're right, Heath Ledger. I mean, I think he played one of the darkest Jokers. I mean, where he felt like he came from somewhere else.
He spoke to me the most.
I think the scariest. Actually,
he was what I want Joker to be.
I would love to see.
Ledger.
I would love to see Keaton and Mark Hamill.
You're sticking with the cartoon ones, aren't you, Joe?
We need to start drawing.
We need to start drawing. Maybe they'll do a completely animated Joker and a completely live action Batman. That would be an interesting one.
Batman the
Mark
musical.
Hamill's good.
Yeah, that's next. They did Spider-Man. Don't be
Yeah, why not?
laughed
Why
that
not?
much, right?
Symbol in the sky.
You went there.
You know, it's funny when my wife was pregnant, somebody told her that she should name the kid Gotham, because when it wakes up and cries at night, and she turns to me and goes, "Gotham needs you." I would always get up and go. She'd get to sleep.
She knew how to reach you. Yeah, she knew what she was
She'd
doing.
get a
there.
bat signal on my wall when the kid cries.
That's excellent.
I like Cesar Romero too. as
Cesar
Joker.
Romero was an awesome Joker.
Now let's see. Who was your who was your favorite Alfred? Here?
Alfred. Who picks Alfred?
Him.
All right, I'm gonna skip on Alfred. You go ahead. What do
My
you,
favorite Alfred? Michael Caine.
Michael Caine? How about you?
I think Jeremy Irons did a good job this time, but I don't think there was enough of him. So I have
you
to
know
go
what?
with Michael Caine because I think I got to know him more.
You know what? I'm gonna go for. I'll pick Jeremy Irons.
Okay.
I think Jeremy Irons is what Alfred should be. He's a guy that looks like he'll kick your butt. You know what I mean? He's not gonna hold back. He was out there driving the I guess the Batwing, for lack of better terms. I don't know what it's called in this movie. Via remote. I mean, he looks like a guy to me that would just kick butt.
Well, another Alfred I like is the guy that plays him on Gotham.
Yeah,
I like him, but I still have to go with Michael Caine.
he's an Australian actor, and he's got the Australian accent as opposed to the traditional British accent of the other.
The guy on Gotham.
The guy in Gotham.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I don't remember his name. Guy in Gotham. I'm sorry.
And your favorite Catwoman?
Favorite Catwoman.
I have to go with Michelle Pfeiffer.
I like Michelle Pfeiffer. I also like Halle Berry.
Horrible movie.
But sexy Catwoman.
Yeah,
She was the most scantily
But
clad.
Michelle Pfeiffer also, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Michelle Pfeiffer too. I think that's a good way to wrap us up today. If you have any comments or you want to add in who your favorite Batman or Batman character, apparently
Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne. If you would like to add that in, you can tweet us at Heckler Kane Inc. Feel free to hit us up on Facebook or leave messages down below, and we'll get back to you. And we'd love to hear from you.
And if you want to listen to our podcast again, it'll be the same bat time, same bat channel. Check us out.
Horrible.
Thank you.